Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Obsidian. I'm your local shadow work cryptid, and this is Black Dragon Alchemy. I created this cozy corner cave on YouTube so we can dive into the unknown, dance in the void of our subconscious, and initiate the soul into alchemizing our own rebirth through conscious healing. I hope everyone is having a great day today. I hope it's going nice and smoothly for everyone. I wanted to kind of pick up where we left off on our last reading today. We started to scratch into this energy, this thread of energy that I have been picking up on. And like I said in the last reading, I was trying to change gears a little bit and go into a different reading, but that's just not what the cards had intended. So I want to pick up where we left off on that. I don't feel like the energy is quite done with this message. It feels very heavy. I feel a lot coming through, and I feel like maybe there's just something that someone can take away from this. So, if this is for you, I hope it finds you. If you didn't listen to the last reading, I would recommend starting there. There's a lot of symbolism, and we kind of get the ball rolling on what this one is going to be about. So, let's just go ahead and get in it. And let's see what the cards have to say. Like I said, there is definitely something happening in whoever's field this is for today. Now, this might not be for everyone, so if it's not for you, that's okay. But if it is, I do hope that you find something here that might help you through. Yes. So, you have the Four of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Magician. So you are definitely sitting in a energy of solitude right now. Like we said in the last reading, and even the ones before that, it's almost like someone's coming out of a crisis. There's this crisis energy, and then there's a healing after it. So you could have gone through something absolutely soul shattering, I'm hearing, for yourself. I don't know if this could have been a loss for you. This could have just been extreme grief coming back up for you. We still have a lot astrologically going on right now. And as today actually is May 21st, 2026. So these readings are timeless. They go for whenever. But I feel like the number 21 is very significant of completeness, right? Of revelation. And I feel like something has been coming in and kind of knocking at your door looking for, I want to say validation. I don't quite know if that's it, but it's looking for resolve. There's something in your life that's looking for resolve. It's looking to close. A chapter needs to end. Something is ready to come in, but it can't come in if you are still dealing and hanging on to things that are no longer benefiting you. Old ideas of yourself, old identities. You know, sometimes we hang on to identities because it's almost like a protective barrier, right? It's a mask that you can wear, and we hang on to certain hurts and betrayals. Maybe not so much to victimize ourselves, but it reminds us of why we won't take something anymore. And because this is what happened when we did, and that hurt. Well, that's what our ego was, it was put there for that, but our ego likes to basically victimize itself. That's just what it does. It's not really something that we intend for it to do. It's not our fault, but it just happens. And then there comes a point in our life where you realize that, and that would be the beginnings of ego death. And then that can lead to a dark night of the soul. And dark nights of the soul can be devastating. It doesn't feel like it can get any worse. Some people just have one. Some people have multiple dark nights of the soul. It really depends on the individual. I personally have had many. Some people I know have only had one. And if that is something that is happening to you, maybe nothing really happened, but all of a sudden you were just dissatisfied with your life and dissatisfied with where you were and didn't like the person that you were or are anymore because you just don't like the things that may have happened to you, or you might resent certain things that happened to you because maybe things could be different if they didn't happen. But what if they didn't happen? Would you have learned that lesson and learned it the way that you did? Now, when you can step outside of yourself and kind of look at this situation from a higher perspective, you can see that not everything is actually what it's made to be. Yes, this is a horrible situation. And maybe, yes, this person hurt you, or you had a severe loss or a betrayal, or there was, a heartbreak, or whatever this is. Whatever it looks like on the outside, when you actually look at the situation from a higher perspective and peel away all of the details, what is it that you can learn? Because that's really what we're going to take with us. And that's kind of where I want to pick up from the last reading is, what are you going to do with all of these pieces of yourself that you have now found that you don't know what to do with? How are you going to free yourself from these restraints? However these restraints got there, and whoever is holding on to the other end of them. When you can break free of them and reclaim your own power and step into your own sovereignty, you'll see that everything is really just an illusion. And maybe at a certain point you were keeping yourself there because that's what was comfortable, but it no longer is doing you any good. You're expanding outside of that. It's almost like your frequency is starting to rise to something that you aren't quite aware of, but it's like your higher self is wanting you to embody this, but you don't quite know where this is coming from. Now, I don't know if this is something that you have already gone through and maybe you're on the other side of it, or maybe this is something that is just about to happen. You sense like I'm seeing Star Wars references. There's a disturbance in the Force, and you might be trying to figure out what it is that you need to do, or seeing somebody like bracing right before a car accident. It's like you're bracing for impact on something, but the thing is that the impact is never really going to come because I feel like this is something that's already happened. So in a way, I feel like this is a subconscious muscle memory, and you might not know what to do with that. If that is you, I would recommend sitting with that discomfort. As uncomfortable as it's going to be, I would recommend sitting with that because there's something that it needs to say. And if you find that you're on the other end of this, then you could be in an energy of just wanting to retain your peace, reflect on what's happened, gather your thoughts, meditate on it. But I feel a very solitary energy with this. There's something that really wants to either start, there's an energy that wants to come in and create something, or somebody has some sort of potential it's right at the tip of their fingertips, but they can't quite grasp it because of everything that has happened, everything that maybe you're currently trying to sort through. Maybe like you're trying to reconfigure your identity to shift into a more sovereign energy. I think you're just now realizing how powerful you actually have the potential to be. I want to see if I can get a little bit more. This keeps coming up, this family energy that caused all of this. I'm not sure if somebody had a very structured or traditionally based type of family, that wanted them to basically walk in their shoes, right? Continue a family legacy. Maybe your parents wanted to give you the family business or follow in the same shoes as they did because it worked successfully for them. And this is what maybe the grandparents did and the great grandparents. And maybe it's not something that is ringing true for you. And maybe you're having a hard time with your family, having them understand this. Again, I'm going to reference back to the Morgana card. I dove into the meaning of this in the last reading. I'll recap really quick on the story of Morgana, but she was a sorceress that basically got everything taken from her, all of her titles, all of her everything she established herself with. They took it away because she was a sorceress. She was King Arthur's sister. So we have a king and his sister as a sorceress. The family couldn't have that. She was too different and she didn't want to acclimate. So they stripped her of everything that she had and sent her on her way. That made her very bitter. It made her very spiteful and vengeful. And she let her anger fester inside of her to the point of basically it was turning destructive. It turned destructive. And I don't know if that's something that's going on for maybe somebody listening to this whole family dynamic of them not accepting who you are, but you're not in a place where you feel like putting a fake mask on to make everybody feel comfortable anymore. It's exhausting. It's burning you out. And honestly, it's not fair. It's not fair to you. So you're wanting to create something new for yourself. Maybe you're facing a little bit of grief with your family with this. They might not be so accepting of it, but I don't think you're giving in this time. I think maybe in the past you may have caved and fallen in line just to keep everybody comfortable and to be the people pleaser of the family, right? Maybe you didn't want to rock the boat too much, but I think you're done with that now. And I think you're turning that resentment into something powerful right now. And I think you're maybe just now understanding how skilled you might actually be at doing something completely different than what's always been done. And I think in your near future, you're actually going to find a circle of support that thinks the same way as you, that you can bounce the same ideas off of, that want to do things with you, that want to create things with you. Or they might just welcome you into their group. You're finding your tribe. We have justice in the shadow energy. There's something that you have definitely outgrown within your own family structure here. And I do believe that it's time for you to understand the truth of yourself. I think maybe it's your higher self. Maybe you're getting a lot of signs and synchronicities. This is definitely the end of a certain cycle, though. You're breaking away from all of the structures that have been set. Let me see here. I want to know what potential you have coming in for you. This Ace of Wands energy. You're discovering yourself. This is a potential that you have within yourself to really make some powerful moves here in life. But first, you have to integrate some inner child wounding. That's definitely coming up. This is like My guy said it's like breathing. It's like when one chapter ends, you're at the bottom of an exhale and you're right at the beginning of the next inhale. But you're right at the beginning. You're actually at the space between the exhale and the next inhale, if that makes sense for anybody. I don't know if that will. But you are in the liminal space right now, like I said, that you're not embodying this new energy yet. You haven't actually stepped into your new self, but you haven't quite moved out of who you were yet. You haven't completely shed your old skin, and you haven't started embodying your new one yet either. Because I do feel like there is something that is asking for acknowledgement here. There is some sort of pattern. It could be a family pattern, a learned behavior, perhaps, that you have instilled inside yourself. Well, it got instilled inside of you because these are things that we were taught, right? There's a certain family structure or a family pattern, possibly in a way of thinking, and quite possibly revolved around how you create your stability, how you create your finances. And I think that there is an integration of something that might need to happen here in order for your soul to expand into the next part of your life, to start embodying this new energy, this higher energy that is reaching out to you, essentially. You are definitely divinely guided, and you are getting some hard nudges by your guides. So if you're seeing a lot of repeating numbers, mirroring numbers, especially things like 1010, 111, things like that, any repeating number really. Nines are a super transformative number. Twos are a lot about balance. Threes are all about integrating different aspects of yourself, unifying opposites, through spirit. But this is definitely a clearing. You are being pushed to embody a more authentic energy for yourself. I want to see if I can get into this inner child wounding here and see maybe any sort of clarification. Well, insecurity, guardedness, feeling left out, hardship, isolation, insecurity with money, and insecurity in stabilizing yourself, hanging on to things. It's like a lack mindset, not having enough and having to fight for it. This is something that you're realizing about yourself right now. You're very guarded with your finances, and you're very guarded with your energy and where you place your time. You're very conservative with what you invest your time and your energy with. And that's not a bad thing, but you also might be restricting yourself to experiencing new opportunities because you're not putting yourself out there. There's a lot of worry around finances, and there's a lot of worry about abandonment too. I'm not sure if somebody has abandonment issues, maybe being left out or forgotten, feeling like you're always fighting to just stay comfortable in a situation, be it money or energy or time. You're always struggling to just be comfortable. You can never really seem to get ahead in a certain situation, but this might be the thing that you are actually just coming to realize. And you could be taking the first steps in unburdening yourself from that. Because whatever this is something that you have struggled with, and it's caused a lot of stress. It's caused a lot of exhaustion, and it's felt like a very heavy responsibility to just keep your head above water. But there is definitely something new coming in. But like I said, you have to be willing to put yourself out there and allow yourself to experience the limitless potential that I think you have, really. But I think that there is a lot of I don't really want to use the word grooming. Like the only word that's coming to my mind though, it's like you were trained that this is how it had to be, that if you weren't struggling and always working for something, then you weren't going anywhere with something. But I think that once you allow yourself to unburden this, and once you really inner over and understand something, I think it might almost even be comical that you hung on to it for so long, but there's a reason why things stick for so long. Either we're afraid to let it go, or the lesson isn't learned yet. And you have to figure out where you're at on that. And you have to be brutally honest with yourself on that. You really do. So if you can be almost like shamefully honest with yourself and really integrate these parts of yourself that were conditioned. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Spirit. Not groomed, but conditioned to live by, or, you know, to portray yourself as, or to, you know, be one way to the outside world, but really when you're at home, you're something different, right? You're something that's more authentic to yourself, but when you go and you interact with the outside world, you feel like you have to put a mask on, and it's very conflicting when you live a double life like that to yourself. And I feel like maybe that's something that is asking to be integrated here. But you have to make the decision to really sit with that, because it's asking for it. It is asking for it, and it's hard. This is a challenge for you, and you're rightfully protective over this, because this might be a part of you, an inner child that may have gotten some kind of abused emotionally or mentally, hopefully not physically, but in any rate of abuse. This is something that you are now protective of yourself on, and this is why you don't put yourself out there. But at the same time, you also feel isolated and shut out because of it. So if you can just sit with this and let it communicate what it needs. And that's kind of, I mean, the Four of Swords and meditation is just coming up. And I don't know if you're big into meditation, or if you can't meditate. You know, some people say, I can't meditate, I can't sit still for that long. Well, why? Ask yourself that. Why can't I sit and meditate? And the dialogue that you go through in your head will give you all the answers that you need. And it's not all going to happen in the first sitting. It's going to probably take many attempts if you have a busy mind. Pay attention to your mind. Pay attention to your body. This is probably where this wounding is trying to get your attention. If you let your body settle, where's the pain, right? If you're trying to focus on your breath, why? Why is your brain trying to take you somewhere else outside of your breath? These are things that you have to pay attention to, because this is the communication that your subconscious is coming across with. It's not going to pop into your head. It's not always going to be a billboard that you drive by. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's in license plates and billboards and house numbers and stuff like that. But usually it's through our own body. And you have to just sit with that. Your body is your temple. Protect it. There is definitely a part of you that you're trying to protect, but it's like it doesn't need protecting anymore, and it's trying to tell you that it wants integration. And when you can show it integration, you have the Ace of Cups here. So This is a whole new level of emotional intimacy within yourself, of spiritual awakening, of discovering that you actually do go deeper than you think you did. There is much more to you, and you knew it all along. And the Justice card in the shadow is going to make sure that you see to that. It's going to reveal the truth to you once and for all. So I really hope, I think I'm going to end the reading there. I really hope that whoever needed to hear this message, this was a deep one, whoever needed to hear this, I hope that it found you. And I thank you for sitting with me through this reading. I would love to hear from you in the comments and hear your story. If you feel inspired to share your journey, I would love to hear from you. Feel free to subscribe. I don't quite know a posting schedule that I have quite yet. I know I'm still a very new channel, so I do appreciate you sitting here with me while I currently am probably getting put at the bottom of the FYP. So if you found me, thank you for sitting with me, and I look forward to interacting with you in the future. Feel free to subscribe, and I will meet you back here in our next reading.